Welcome to the Steve Reeve Podcast with the best moments from the past week and a few things that didn't make it to air. Monday.
Quick transition for a musician, Peter of July Talk. He was just in Edmonton. In fact, some folks might have been big fans of July Talk enough to make that trip down the highway to go check them out on the 14th. And then he did, in fact, race from that sold-out show at the Midway Music Hall in Edmonton to get down to Los Angeles to support his fellow Sinners castmates. I spotted him really quick. I went, hey, wasn't he just in Alberta? Wasn't he busy? He was actually in the same role from the movie as well during the live performance of He Lied to Me. They brought out the three primary vampires real quick, except this time tuxedoed up. And if you didn't know, he is one of the two folks that get vampirized first in that movie. Spoiler alert. It's kind of spoiler alert. Bringing their creepy songs to the smokestack bar later on. Very well played. And of course, cast quite smartly. He's got a certain voice to him that is already kind of just different sounding and has that bit of a supernatural vibe to it. At least that's the sounds I get when I listen to July Talk.
It's time for Cruz Music News with Steve Reeve.
First off, we're flashing back to yesterday with the Oscars Celebration 98th Annual and a particular musical performance from the Sinners soundtrack. A song, of course, nominated for Best Original Song amongst the record number of total nominations for the movie, but a really cool celebration of one of the most important scenes in the film, led by incredible artists Miles Caton and Raphael Sadiq, joined by just a huge number of not just musicians, but performers. You had blues absolute icon Buddy Guy, you had Eric Gales, Brittany Howard, Chris Stone, Kingfish Ingram, Jamie Lawson, Lee Jun Lee, Bobby Rush, Shabuzi, Alice Smith, as well as retired ballerina Misty Copeland showing up right at the end. Perhaps maybe a subtle dig at some of the comments from fellow nominee Timothée Chalamet about how ballet and opera are things people don't care about anymore, despite, sold-out shows around the world. Anyway, next up, we've got a big celebration from Metallica's James Hetfield and, of course, his now fiancée, Adriana Gillett. He proposed in a very metal way. On Friday the 13th, they went swimming with sharks, and now posted up on Instagram is a photo of the underwater couple and a big sign saying, Adriana Gillett, will you marry me? Well, hopefully she had a way out of the water, away from the sharks, or else there's implications. Jack White is going to be in a good place on Saturday this weekend as he is the musical guest for the Jack Black-led episode of Saturday Night Live. However, sad news revealed after this past weekend. He announced the passing of his mother, Teresa Gillis. He says, rest in peace, and shared a special bond with her as they were both the youngest of 10. Said that was the most special thing on top of everything else that she gave him. That's it for your music news this morning. Oscars last night. Quick recap. You missed it, and you only have time for highlights. Well, Conan, he had some comedy for us. It wasn't exactly, breaking ribs or anything like that, but yeah, funny nonetheless. He is a solid entertainer. Sinners did pretty well considering the record number of nominations, and One Battle After Another did surprisingly well with fewer nominations. Both films, of course, very deserving. Every single person knew that Golden would win for the original song, and we will never now escape the clutches of the K-pop Demon Hunter franchise. Not complaining. That was also history in the making. First Korean song to win that award. Then there was also a tie. What? Kumail Nanjiani saying, calm down. We're going to get through this. It was actually the sixth tie in the 98-year history of the Academy Awards, this time for the live-action short category. History also made with the first woman to win the Cinematography Award, Autumn Durald Arkupa, for her work on Sinners. And while there are always notable people from the entertainment industry who don't get mentioned during the In Memoriam section, the moment that they had to start it with Rob and Michelle Reiner being immortalized and recounted with memories from their dear friend Billy Crystal, that felt very, very special.
Tuesday.
St. Patrick's Day, and I've already had my share of some green beer, even well before we got to the day. I'm not saying this morning, it's a little early for it, but on Saturday evening, there was a chance to actually go out for a quick bite with me and my significant other. We grabbed a spot at a downtown establishment that is, shall we say, Very original. Was not expecting it to be a very Irish affair. Now, everything was all decorated. There was, green streamers and things like that around. And everybody who was serving was also wearing green. And it didn't quite dawn on me yet. We ordered some beer, and it came absolutely shock green. And I went, hang on. Oh, hey, what day is it? I thought it was in the middle. No, yeah, it is the 14th, but we raised the little card with information about the current promotion, March 14th through to the 17th, celebrating St. Patrick's Day. So we clink those green beers just as we notice that the music has stopped. It's a little quiet. We look around and we go, oh, hang on. No, hey, there are dancers who are like staging and getting ready to start beginning. The Brady Irish Academy of Dance was there as a fundraiser. They've got some talented folks who are going on to competitions representing Fort McMurray and Irish dance around the world. I'm not even joking. And so it was kind of a pass the hat around scenario. Very happy to throw a little money into that. It was dinner and a show. And a surprise. So I really already have had a great time for St. Patrick's Day, ahead of even hitting St. Patrick's Day.
You're listening to the Steve Reeve Podcast from 100.5 Cruz FM.
Big milestone hit by vinyl music sales down in the United States. Just in 2025, they hit the $1 billion milestone. Now, it's not the very first time that that's happened, but I can tell you it's the first time it's happened since 1983. That's longer than I've been around, so we'll count that as quite a long time. And it's also the 19th consecutive year of increases in vinyl sales in the United States. So not really a shock that it went up, but the amount it went up was pretty darn good, spurred on by none other than Taylor Swift, who released her Life of a Showgirl album with 8 different variants available, sold about 1.6 million copies. Next in line was Sabrina Carpenter's Man's Best Friend. That sold almost 300,000. A little bit less. And then just shy of that, actually, Kendrick Lamar's GNX. Those are the big, heavy hitters, but a lot of vinyl being sold. And we are, of course, getting ready for Record Store Day with all kinds of exclusive vinyl releases coming up in April. We're going to be doing a big thing to celebrate that with the Music Room. We're getting kicked off with some Oasis news. No, they haven't confirmed any dates. They are probably actually not going on tour again until next year, 2027. But we may see more from them with a new documentary that's on the way. The creator of Peaky Blinders, a man named Stephen Knight, is producing a big documentary all about their Live 25 reunion tour. Directed by a couple of people who were actually behind the LCD Sound System documentary called Shut Up and Play the Hits. Very well done. And so this one is going to be maybe coming out later this year. That's not a confirmed thing, but they do say that they've got it down to 4 hours, so they need to shave things down to a bit of a shorter runtime. But Stephen Knight, speaking to Project Big Screen, says it's a documentary with a plot. Do you know what I mean? It's actually got a story, and then we've expanded it. You'll see when you see it, whenever that should be. Radiohead is committing to doing 20 shows each year on a different continent from 2027 on. Ed O'Brien of the band has revealed that they will do no more, no less. I'm not exactly sure what the significance of the 20 is. Perhaps it's just a reasonable amount for them to be able to accomplish and not completely run themselves ragged, but a very interesting approach to their set, as well as kind of a busking approach to a set list in any order of tracks that the fans wished when they've done performances recently. So we'll see if that kind of follows through. Metric also announcing a tour of the UK, Europe, as well as some Canadian stops with Broken Social Scene and Stars. Is going to support their upcoming 10th album, Romanticize the Dive, after the front woman released a solo album, not just a track, an entire album of her own just last year. So if you're interested, the ticket sales are going to go on sale as of 10 a.m. on Friday. Everybody's local time, you know the drill. If you want to grab those Canadian dates, find them online. Metric. That's it for your music news this morning.
Wednesday.
Time now for the big question. How big is it? Big. That's every time. And really the intention of the big question, asked on a Wednesday way too early, is to keep those brain cells firing to the end of the week. And, well, this one inspired by a story that came out, as I was just talking about, from the Calgary Police Service. They talked about in a recent post a traffic stop on the weekend. The driver with curtains installed in the window. Kind of an obstruction, kind of a major one. They said it was to block out the light. the blinding sunlight. Yeah, but you can't block everything out of you just to get the sun out of your eyes. There's other better ways. There's more intelligent solutions to that. But I'm asking for the big question this morning, what is the craziest thing that you've spotted in the next car over? If it is something extra wild, you might have to make it a little bit PG-13 for me for the radio. But I've seen some really just bizarre things in my travels. I'll share some of them, but I want you to share as well, so you can text it or call it. The line in the studio is always 780-715-2789 for the big question. What is the craziest thing you've spotted in the next car over the years? What is the craziest thing you've seen in the next car over, in your travels, in your years of driving? I want to know. Now, definitely a lot of distracted drivers in my case, on phones, doing makeup, fishing for something from the center console for way too long at a stoplight, etc. That's kind of run-of-the-mill stuff, though. One of the wildest that I've seen, though, is someone with a full bowl of, I think, oatmeal in the morning, like bowl and spoon, just driving with their knees or something like that. Just mouthful after mouthful. Thinking, you're trying to make things efficient. I don't know if this is the best plan, though. Every once in a while, you also see someone with a non-travel mug. Just on that note, drinking coffee from a regular mug, or I've seen juice in a plain glass cup from the cupboard. Get it, in the words of Crash Test Dummies, put a lid on things. Keep a lid on things. What are you doing? Now, that's pretty tame, those examples, I admit. Pretty simple stuff. I have also seen some things in traffic that I cannot describe on the radio first thing in the morning, but I can let your imagination run with that. Run wild, you see. And I want you to answer in. Text it if you need to, 780-715-2789.
Hey, Alexa, play the Steve Reeve podcast.
It seems like Kid Rock has heard the joke during the opening monologue for the Oscars. Conan O'Brien quipping about the Turning Point USA halftime show. The alternative halftime show, that is, much less viewed than the actual Super Bowl halftime show, saying that there was an alternative Oscars going on just down the street with many tickets available. Kid Rock tweeted about it, saying, "I love a good joke even when I'm the butt of it. Unfortunately, this was not a very good one, proving that he is actually not able to find the funny in a joke about him." Moving on to a band that is not moving on from touring. 9 Inch Nails just wrapping up their Peel It Back tour. Earlier in the year, in February, he had said on stage that I don't know if we're going to be touring anymore after this, but I'm proud of the show that we're doing right now. At the final show of the tour, he explained that all he meant was it was the last show of this tour, and we don't have any plans, we don't have any shows booked, and there's just nothing on the books, on the schedule so far. Doesn't mean they're never going on tour again. People are just taking it to the logical extreme. And Les Claypool of Primus fame, who is promoting a new album he's putting out with Sean Ono Lennon, was diving back in time to the mid-'80s when apparently he auditioned to be in Metallica, but didn't take it very seriously. He says that he wasn't aware of the skyrocketing fame of the band at the time and how seriously they must have been taking their future. But in 1986, he did audition, and he says he botched it. He came in way too lighthearted. They played a song or two, and he joked, "Hey guys, want to jam on some Isley Brothers?" Nobody laughed, apparently. But, all's well that ends well. I think everybody's had some pretty good success since then. That's it for your music news this morning. I'm Steve Reeve. Graphics card giant NVIDIA, one of the most lucrative companies on the planet right now, just tried to shove some AI slop onto users, gamers really, with a flashy showcase that just came out. New image upscaling software that's basically Instagram filtering video games, and it has not been received very well at all. And the CEO of NVIDIA, hilariously, is basically telling people they're stupid not to love it. First of all, they're wrong, he said in a post-showcase interview. Great take there. I'm sure that will change hearts and minds. But, for example, a moody, atmospheric horror game, a title like Resident Evil 9, suddenly becoming crisp, no more fog, it's clean, like the characters all look like they've got ring lights in their faces, and, in a word, it's all just been yassified, taking all of the spookiness right out of the image. Other examples have characters going from looking just, fine, to looking like they've been plastic vacuum sealed. It's just uncanny and not real looking. Every game looked better as soon as they showed the software turned off, and the comments aren't shy about saying it, but hey, we're just stupid for thinking that. Just another sign that the AI value bubble is about to burst.
Transmission over. Want more Steve? New podcast episodes happen every Friday, or just tune into the Steve Reeve Show. Weekday mornings starting at 5:30 a.m. on 100.5 Cruz FM.